Have you ever paused, like really stopped, to consider the incredible, often hidden power that's just residing beneath the surface of your everyday awareness? This silent force within you that maybe holds the key to transforming your health, or enriching your relationships, manifesting abundance, or even unlocking solutions to life's really complex challenges.
It's a truly profound thought, isn't it? This idea that the very answers, the very capacities we often look for externally aren't actually out there somewhere.
Right.
They're inherent, almost miraculous capabilities deep within our own minds. It's quite something.
Absolutely. And that right there, that's really the heart of our deep dive today. We're venturing into something, well, truly extraordinary. The marvelous miracle working power of your own subconscious mind.
Yeah.
And look, this isn't just about wishful thinking or, simply positive affirmations in a superficial way. According to the profound text we're digging into today, it's actually a scientific, universal way to tap into what you can only really describe as infinite power.
And this deep dive, it's rooted in a truly foundational text. It reveals with really striking clarity how our inner world fundamentally shapes, well, pretty much every aspect of our outer reality.
Wow.
It proposes that this internal mechanism, it operates on principles that are just as consistent, just as universal as the laws of physics or chemistry. It's about understanding a universal principle that once you grasp it, it really transforms how you see cause and effect in your own life.
So our mission for you, our listener, is to basically extract the most potent insights, the surprising facts, and maybe most importantly, the practical techniques that this material offers up. We want you to walk away from this deep dive, not just, informed, but genuinely empowered with a clear, actionable understanding of how you can apply what the source itself calls the master secret of the ages. So yeah, let's unpack this incredible potential. Okay, let's start right at the core of this whole discussion, what our source flat out calls the master secret of the ages. Now, when you hear master secret, your mind might jump to, I don't know, groundbreaking scientific discoveries.
Right, like atomic energy or something.
Exactly. Or, the marvels of interplanetary travel. But what's really astonishing, and maybe a little counterintuitive, is that the source says it's none of those big external things.
That's precisely it. The text unveils this master secret as the marvelous miracle-working power found right inside your own subconscious mind.
Inside you.
Yeah. And the profound irony, as the author points out, is that despite it always being there, its intimate proximity, it's often the very last place people even think to look for this kind of transformative power.
Yeah.
It's like it's hidden in plain sight, like a treasure map to an endless fortune that you've, always been carrying around.
It's almost like frantically searching for your glasses only to realize they've been sitting on your head the whole time.
Exactly that feeling, yeah.
And the source really stresses that genuine wonders happen when you pray effectively. Now, this isn't about traditional religious prayer in a narrow sense right now.
No, not necessarily. In this context, effectively is defined scientifically. It means the harmonious interaction of your conscious and subconscious levels of mind, directed with precision towards a specific purpose.
Okay.
So it's not just a hopeful plea. It's more like a deliberate internal alignment of your entire being towards a really clear outcome.
So it's active.
Very active. And what truly distinguishes this text and why it's so impactful is its unwavering focus on the practical side of things. It meticulously lays out simple, usable techniques and formulas that you can actually integrate into your daily life. Whether you're navigating, say, complex business problems or trying to get more harmony in your family or even just smoothing out the daily grind, this understanding offers a clear path.
Right.
It's about tapping into this infinite storehouse of power within you. And significantly, it gives crucial insights into why sometimes you might find yourself manifesting the exact opposite of what you consciously want.
Interesting.
Or why maybe past intentions or prayers seem to have gone unanswered. It really sheds light on the often misunderstood mechanisms behind manifestation itself.
Which brings us to a really fundamental distinction. The source clarifies meticulously the conscious versus the subconscious mind. The text makes it super clear. These are not two separate things, not two distinct minds.
Right.
Rather, they're described as two spheres of activity within one mind.
Yeah.
And to really get the dynamic, the author uses this wonderful analogy, like a magnificent ship sailing on the sea.
Oh, yeah, the ship analogy. It's incredibly helpful, isn't it? Your conscious mind, that's the navigator, the captain on the bridge of that ship.
Okay.
This is your reasoning mind. It's the part of you that actively thinks, analyzes, makes choices. It's what lets you decide, What book to read, where you want to live, who you might partner with in life.
Your everyday thinking mind.
Exactly. It's your objective mind, meaning it's mostly concerned with outward objects, and it perceives the objective world through your 5 physical senses. It acts as your guide, constantly in contact with your environment, gathering knowledge through observation, experience, logic, making all your daily, deliberate decisions.
The captain giving orders.
Precisely. The captain issues clear, precise orders to the crew based on his strategic findings, using instruments like a compass, sextant, charts, plotting the course.
Got it. And then beneath the captain's careful watch, you've got the subconscious mind. This functions like the engine room of this powerful ship. This is where the crew, sort of the unseen forces, faithfully carry out the captain's orders without question, without any judgment.
They don't need to know the destination or the grand strategy. Their job is just to execute the commands they're given. And here's the really critical point. If the captain, the conscious mind, gives faulty or misguided instructions, the engine room crew will still follow them to the letter, even if it means running the ship straight onto the rocks.
Wow, so the subconscious just does what it's told, basically.
It operates automatically, without conscious choice or deliberate effort from you. Think about essential bodily functions like your heart beating, your digestion working, your blood circulating, or just breathing. These are all managed by your subconscious, completely independent of your conscious control.
Okay, that makes sense. But what's truly fascinating, and maybe one of the most profound ideas in this source, is that the subconscious is described as impersonal and non-selective.
Exactly. Impersonal, non-selective. It doesn't have the capacity for conscious reasoning or discernment like the captain does. It simply accepts as absolute truth whatever your conscious mind believes to be true.
Whatever you feed it.
Whatever you feed it, it acts like a vast, universal recording medium. It's the seat of your deepest emotions, your instincts, and it functions as this enormous storehouse of your memory. It holds every single impression, every word, every experience you've ever encountered since birth, maybe even before. And interestingly, the text notes that it performs its highest, most extraordinary functions precisely when your objective physical senses are kind of quieted down, like when you're sleepy, drowsy, or in deep meditation.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting and maybe challenges our usual understanding of reality a bit.
Yeah.
The source makes some pretty astounding claims about the subconscious in this state, like deep relaxation or sleep.
It really does.
It suggests it has capacities far beyond our physical senses. It can see without physical eyes, what we maybe call clairvoyance. It can hear without physical ears, clairaudience. The author even suggests it can, metaphorically, or maybe even literally, leave your physical body, travel to distant places, and come back with exact, verifiable information.
It's pretty mind-bending stuff.
Yeah. Through this inner faculty, you're supposedly able to read the thoughts of others or even know the contents of sealed letters. And the source frames these not as like supernatural magic, but as inherent functions of the mind when the objective senses are turned down and the subconscious can operate freely.
So the fundamental insight here is just how vital the interconnection is, understanding the dynamic interplay, the harmonious interaction of these 2 levels of mind that's presented as the bedrock for effective living.
Right.
And as the text puts it so well, for mastering the true art of prayer, which, again, is essentially consciously directed, intention-shaping reality. It's about learning to speak the language that your powerful inner engine actually understands.
And what's really crucial to grasp, I think, is that this isn't some random, mystical, or unpredictable force. The principles governing the subconscious mind are presented as being just as consistent, just as reliable, and universally applicable as, say, the laws of chemistry or physics.
Absolutely. They operate with this unwavering precision. Think about the universal principles we just accept, right? Water always seeks its own level no matter where on Earth. Matter expands when heated, consistently, whether you're in a lab or on another continent. These are unvarying laws. And the text suggests a parallel universal truth about the subconscious mind. Whatever you impress on your subconscious mind is expressed on the screen of space as condition, experience, and event.
Wow. So it's not a wish, it's like a reaction.
Yeah, it's a predictable reaction to your inner state. Yeah. So when your prayer or your deeply held desire gets answered, it's not some arbitrary act of grace or luck. It's because your subconscious mind is principle.
Principle meaning.
Meaning the way a thing works, an inherent unchanging law of operation. Just like electricity always flows from higher to lower potential, or gravity pulls things down, your subconscious reacts automatically and predictably to your thoughts, your feelings, your beliefs.
So you don't change the principle itself.
No, you can't change the principle, but by understanding it and cooperating with its laws, you can bring forth amazing inventions, profound healing, incredible manifestations in your life. Every experience, every event, every condition you encounter, even every action you take, is essentially a reaction of your subconscious mind to the dominant thoughts and feelings you hold inside.
What stands out here, and it's a truly revolutionary idea for a lot of people, I imagine, is that it's not the specific external thing you believe in, maybe a ritual, a certain deity, a magical object.
Right, it's not the object itself.
It's the power of your belief itself, held firmly within your own mind, that acts as the activating mechanism. The core advice from this is just incredibly empowering, isn't it?
It really is.
We're urged to stop believing in the false beliefs, the limiting opinions, the superstitions, the crippling fears that mankind has passed down through history.
Let go of that baggage.
And instead, consciously choose to believe in the eternal truths of life that never change. When you deliberately shift your inner convictions like that, the Source assures us you inevitably move onward, upward towards your highest potential. It's a powerful shift.
Okay, so that naturally leads us to a really pivotal aspect of understanding this powerful subconscious mind, how it gets influenced. Our Source spends a lot of time on the concept of suggestion.
Yes, suggestion is key.
It defines suggestion really clearly as the act or instance of putting something into one's mind, and then the mental process by which the thought or idea suggested is entertained, accepted, or put into effect. And crucially, it breaks it down into two main types: suggestions from outside and suggestions from inside ourselves.
Right. Let's start with the outside one's heterosuggestions, suggestions coming from others. The text gives that classic, really illustrative example, the seasickness scenario. Ah, yes, I remember this one.
Imagine, right? A timid-looking passenger boarding a ship, maybe already a bit nervous. You go up to them, give them a knowing look, and say something like, "Wow, you look really ill, so pale. I'm absolutely certain you're going to be seasick. Here, let me help you to your cabin."
Oh, dear.
The Source explains that, in this case, the timid passenger, perhaps already prone to anxiety or lacking confidence, just internalizes that negative suggestion. They accept it. Their conscious mind doesn't filter it out. And sure enough,
They get seasick.
violently seasick. Their subconscious, acting impersonally, just fulfills the accepted program and doesn't question it.
But here's where the conscious mind's power really shows up, demonstrating how differently suggestions can land. Take that exact same suggestion, the identical words, and say them to a seasoned sailor.
What happens then? They'll likely just laugh it off, maybe make a joke about it.
Or get slightly annoyed.
Or get slightly annoyed, yeah. Why such a huge difference? Because for the sailor, the suggestion of seasickness is instantly linked in their mind with their own long-standing immunity, their personal experience of being totally fine on the waves.
Right.
It doesn't trigger fear. It triggers self-confidence and an immediate rejection of the idea.
So this contrast really highlights a critical point the Source emphasizes.
Yeah,
Your conscious mind has the power to reject suggestions.
absolutely. If there's no underlying fear inside you, no prior belief system that resonates with the negative suggestion, then that suggestion just bounces right off you.
Like water off a duck's back, as they say.
Exactly. And understanding this power suggestion also sheds light on its historical role. Like the text mentions its controlling power in religion in many parts of the world, where it was used, to instill fear or enforce certain beliefs.
It's really a double-edged sword, isn't it? Heterosuggestion coming from outside can be incredibly constructive and magnificent. It can be used positively to inspire, uplift, help us discipline ourselves for our own good. Think of encouraging words from a mentor or something.
Sure.
But in its negative form, it's described as one of the most destructive response patterns of the mind, leading directly to patterns of misery, failure, sickness, even disaster.
Yeah, think about all the subtle and not so subtle negative things people absorb growing up. You can't trust anyone, you'll never amount to anything, life's just a struggle, you're not smart enough. These are insidious suggestions that can deeply program the subconscious without us even realizing it.
And this leads us right into autosuggestion, which is basically how your own thoughts, your own self-talk, your deeply held beliefs become direct requests to your subconscious.
Exactly. If you've been conditioned by all these negative inputs from the past, maybe from well-meaning but misguided parents or unsupportive friends, Critical teachers, your subconscious, being non-selective, just accepts these as valid requests
And then acts on them.
and dutifully manifests them in your life, often without you even connecting the dots back to the root cause.
The source gives that striking example of the young singer, right? Beautiful voice, but kept failing auditions because of terrible stage fright.
Yes, she would tell herself things like, when it's time to sing, maybe they won't like me. I'll try, but I'm just full of fear and anxiety. My throat's gonna tighten up.
Oh, the self-sabotage.
Completely. Her subconscious mind took those negative auto-suggestions as direct commands and faithfully manifested her fear of failure. She'd sing wrong notes or just break down. It acted on her dominant internal programming.
But the flip side, the beauty of autosuggestion, is that it's also this incredibly powerful tool for reconditioning and reprogramming yourself.
Absolutely. The text details a case of a man who had a really debilitating temper, causing him huge problems personally and professionally.
Okay.
He decided to use autosuggestion to change himself. 3 or 4 times a day, every day for a month, he would affirm, deeply and sincerely, from now on, I'm going to be more good-humored. Joy, happiness, cheerfulness are becoming my normal states of mind. Every day, I'm becoming more lovable and understanding towards everyone.
And did it work?
Transformative results. His temper just melted away, replaced by genuine good humor. This practice, the source explains, is a profound reconditioning therapy. It's designed to release you from the chains of negative verbal conditioning that might have been hammered in from your past.
This just highlights how crucial it is to, actively guard your mind. Be the gatekeeper of your thoughts.
Totally.
Think about the constant stream of daily news and media, for example. It can, quite subtly, just keep sowing seeds of futility, fear, worry, anxiety, impending doom into your consciousness.
If you just passively absorb it all.
Right. If you uncritically accept those thoughts and let them take root, the source warns they can literally make you lose your will for life, feel overwhelmed and powerless.
But the truly empowering knowledge here is that you have the inherent ability to counteract these negative influences. You do it by consciously, consistently giving yourself constructive autosuggestions.
You have the right to choose.
You have the sovereign right to reject all destructive ideas. Doesn't matter where they come from. It's about regularly checking and scrutinizing the negative suggestions you've picked up throughout your life, from childhood through your teens.
Identifying them.
Identify them for what they often are. A form of propaganda, maybe aimed, consciously or unconsciously, to control you or instill fear and limitation. Once you see them, you actively, deliberately replace them with new, positive, life-affirming truths.
And if anyone's still not entirely convinced about the sheer raw power of suggestion, the source includes that really dramatic, almost chilling story about how suggestion can, in extreme cases, even lead to death.
Oh, the crystal gazer story. Yeah, that's a powerful one.
Right. This man goes to a fortune teller, a crystal gazer, just out of curiosity. And during the session, the fortune teller predicts with absolute certainty that he's going to die at the next new moon.
And the person telling the story initially believed the gazer had some kind of weird power, right? Which just reinforced the fear.
Exactly. Which made it worse for the man. Now, this man, before the prediction, was apparently healthy, vigorous, but he completely absorbed and accepted this negative suggestion.
He bought into it completely.
Totally. He became terrified, obsessed over it, told everyone he met he was going to die at the predicted time, and tragically, he did.
It's really unsettling, isn't it? But the critical insight here, as the source explains it, is that the fortune teller had no inherent occult power over him whatsoever.
So how did he die?
The man brought about his own death. Not because of the prediction itself, but because of his profound fear and expectation, and, crucially, his subconscious mind faithfully acting upon his acceptance of that terrifying suggestion.
Wow. It's a direct, almost horrifying illustration of that ancient wisdom. As a man thinketh in his heart, meaning his subconscious mind, so is he.
Absolutely. The crystal gazer, in reality, had no more power than, as the text says, stones and sticks in the field. If the man had possessed even a basic understanding of how his own mind worked, he could have completely rejected that negative suggestion.
He could have just laughed it off like the sailor.
Exactly. He would have known with certainty that he was governed only by his own thoughts and feelings, not by some external pronouncement. That negative prophecy would have been totally neutralized, harmless, like tin arrows aimed at a battleship. That's a great image for the resilience of a mind that understands its own power.
Okay, so with that really profound understanding of suggestion and its impact, let's pivot to one of the most remarkable and, frankly, deeply inspiring applications of the subconscious mind, its capacity for healing.
Yes, this is a huge part of it.
Our source introduces a truly revolutionary idea here,
Yeah.
that there's one universal healing principle, and fascinatingly, one single process of healing, faith.
This is indeed a crucial insight, and it really reframes our whole understanding of wellness, doesn't it? Prayer therapy in this context isn't presented as something mystical or random.
Right.
Instead, it's meticulously described as the combined synergistic function of the conscious and subconscious mind, scientifically and purposefully directed towards the outcome of healing.
Scientifically directed. I like that.
Yeah. The text observes that countless miracles at various shrines around the world throughout history, or even what some might call blind faith healings, they're not actually due to the specific object of belief, a particular saint or a sacred relic.
So it's not the shrine itself.
It's the belief itself, firmly held within your own mind, that acts as the profound catalyst, the inner mechanism that brings about the tangible healing result.
Exactly. The foundational wisdom here seems to be about a radical shift in perspective. It encourages us to consciously stop believing in the false beliefs, the limiting opinions, the pervasive superstitions, and the crippling fears of mankind that tend to hold us in patterns of sickness and limitation.
Let go of those old programs.
And conversely, to start believing deeply and irrevocably in the eternal verities and truths of life, like universal laws of health, harmony, wholeness that never change. That, according to the source, is the absolute foundation for inviting profound healing into our lives.
And the source doesn't just theorize about this. It provides really compelling, verifiable, real-world examples of these principles in action.
Like what?
Well, consider the remarkable case of the Protestant minister who was diagnosed with lung cancer. Several times a day, he would meticulously practice a technique of deep physical and mental relaxation.
Okay.
He would consciously talk to his body, instructing it. My feet are relaxed. My ankles are relaxed. My whole being is completely relaxed, peaceful, still. Once he got into that deeply relaxed, sleepy, drowsy state, that kind of sweet spot where the subconscious is most receptive, he would then affirm with absolute conviction, the perfection of God is now being expressed through me. The idea of perfect health is now filling every fiber of my subconscious mind. My subconscious mind is now recreating every cell in perfect accordance with the perfect image of health held in the mind of God.
Yeah.
Through this consistent, directed mental work, he experienced a truly remarkable and complete healing from the cancer.
That's astonishing. Just an incredible testament to the power of directed thought and unwavering belief.
Absolutely. And another profoundly compelling case cited is Madame Bear, who had severe eye trouble. Doctors considered her optic nerves irreversibly damaged.
Oh, wow.
She traveled to a famous shrine carrying immense expectancy and great faith. And her subconscious mind, responding directly to her profound inner conviction, manifested a miraculous healing. It not only restored her sight, but according to the account, even brought a supposedly dead nerve back to life.
Incredible.
The principle, as the source emphasizes it, is crystal clear. What the creative principle created, it can recreate. According to your belief, is it done unto you? Your inner conviction basically acts as the blueprint for creation or recreation.
The concept of absent treatment is also powerfully shown, extending beyond just being physically near someone.
Yes, distance doesn't seem to matter.
The text shares the story of a devoted radio listener in Los Angeles. Her mother, way over New York, was critically ill with coronary thrombosis.
No.
Without being physically there, the daughter started this daily practice of mental visualization and affirmation. She meticulously visualized wholeness, harmony, perfect health for her mother, affirming things like, the infinite healing presence is now saturating every atom, restoring her to complete, vibrant health. And the result?
Her mother experienced a remarkable and rapid recovery, apparently much to the surprise of her doctors. The daughter's firm conclusion, her unwavering mental picture of health, directly set the creative law of mind in motion on the subjective side of life, completely transcending the physical distance.
And it's not just about dramatic life-threatening illnesses either, right?
Not at all.
Yeah.
The source also tells the story of a psychologist friend who had tuberculosis. Every night before drifting off to sleep, he would meticulously affirm with full intention, every cell, every nerve, every tissue, and every muscle of my lungs are now being made whole, pure, and perfect. My entire body is being restored to health and harmony.
Focusing on the positive outcome.
Exactly. He focused on this until he felt the subjective truth of it. And incredibly, he achieved a complete healing in about a month. This process is precisely what the source calls releasing the kinetic action, the inherent dynamic, vitalizing power of the subconscious mind.
We also see compelling evidence of the subconscious mind's direct control over the body in the well-documented placebo effect, even before Pasteur figured out germs.
Right. This source highlights the work of Dr. Esdail, a surgeon in India who, before antiseptic surgery existed, had astonishingly low death rates in his operations.
Wow.
By suggesting to his hypnotized patients that no infection would develop. That's powerful proof of the subconscious controlling the body's immune response.
Wow.
The text further explains how symptoms like a high temperature or complete paralysis or even a violent sneeze can be induced in a hypnotized person by mere suggestion, as long as the subconscious accepts it as real.
Like the pepper example.
Exactly. Just hold a cup of cold water under a hypnotized person's nose, tell them it's full of black pepper, and they'll often start sneezing uncontrollably. It just shows the mind's profound physiological command.
This really reinforces that profound, often underestimated mind-body connection. The source boldly states that the subconscious mind has complete control of the functions, conditions, and sensations of your body.
It's a strong claim.
It goes as far as making a really provocative statement. All disease originates in the mind. Nothing appears on the body unless there's a mental pattern corresponding to it. Now, that doesn't mean a physical injury isn't real, right?
No, of course not. But it suggests that the healing response and maybe the tendency towards certain conditions are deeply influenced by our inner landscape, our mental patterns.
So what this implies then is that chronic worry, persistent anxiety, deep-seated fear, long-term depression, these aren't just abstract emotional states.
No, they're active, destructive forces. They fundamentally interfere with your body's harmonious functions, disrupting its natural healing mechanisms.
So the solution is
A conscious, deliberate intervention. You have to let go, relax, and still the wheels of your thought processes. You need to learn to speak to your subconscious with authority and conviction, firmly telling it to take over, restore peace, harmony, divine order within your body.
and it will listen.
When you do this, your body's innate wisdom will start to normalize its processes. Your subconscious is tirelessly working 247 to preserve your life and restore you to health at all costs. It's always acting on your behalf, like making you throw up bad food to prevent poisoning.
And there's that fascinating historical method for healing that perfectly illustrates this principle, used by Dr. Phineas Parkhurst Quimby back in the mid-19th century, often called the father of the New Thought movement.
Yes, Quimby's argumentative method.
Right. His approach was to meticulously convince his patients that their sickness is due to the patient's false belief, groundless fears, and negative patterns lodged in his subconscious mind. He wasn't focused on the disease itself, but the mental root cause.
So what Quimby would do as the therapist was engage in this deep reasoning process within his own mind while simultaneously communicating this conviction to the patient.
Okay.
He'd logically and compassionately explain and affirm to the patient that the disease they were experiencing was really nothing more than a distorted, twisted pattern of thought held within their own consciousness that had no independent reality.
And the example of the woman with crutches.
A famous one. A woman suffering from severe lameness, totally dependent on crutches. Quimby reportedly told her with absolute conviction something like, "Therefore, where I go, you cannot come, for you are in your narrow, restricted belief, and I am in health and freedom."
Wow, direct.
Incredibly direct. And this profound suggestion, accepted by her subconscious, apparently produced an instantaneous sensation within her. She immediately threw away her crutches and walked without any assistance. It's a powerful testament that the disease, in her case, really had no reality beyond her limiting mental pattern.
So this inherent transformative power isn't just limited to physical healing. It's also the fundamental way we actively craft our desired reality in, well, all areas of life.
Absolutely. It applies across the board.
Let's start with something everyone wants: cultivating genuine happiness. The core message here seems simple, but it feels profoundly powerful. You must choose happiness. It's presented as an active, conscious decision.
It sounds almost too basic, doesn't it? Like happiness is just a switch you flip.
Yeah.
But the source explains exactly why this choice is so profound, grounding it in practical psychological application. It quotes that timeless advice from St. Paul in Philippians: whatsoever. Things are true, honest, just pure, lovely, of good report. Think on these things.
Right.
This isn't just, moral guidance. It's presented as a precise blueprint for your conscious thought. It's directing your focus deliberately towards what will produce inner harmony and joy.
And the practical steps for actually cultivating this choice are remarkably clear and accessible. The source advises starting your day with deliberate affirmations, embedding them into your subconscious.
Like what kind of affirmations?
Things like, divine order takes charge of my life today and every day. All things work together for good for me today. I'm definitely going to be happy all day long. That sort of thing. It's not just wishful thinking. It's a conscious act of setting the tone, providing the blueprint for your subconscious to work with throughout the day.
The story of the Irish farmer is such a beautiful example of happiness as a cultivated habit.
Oh yeah, tell us about him.
For over 40 years, this man had apparently made happiness his daily practice. He was always singing and whistling, a clear outward sign of his inner state. Every morning and every night, without fail, he'd consciously bless his family, his crops, his cattle, and then offer deep, heartfelt thanks for all his blessings.
Wow, 40 years.
40 years. This consistent, deliberate pattern of positive thought, repeated regularly over decades, steadily sank deep into his subconscious, becoming an ingrained, automatic state. He had, through sheer consistent practice, discovered that happiness is indeed a habit, a chosen internal landscape that yields external joy.
It's crucial, though, that you truly desire happiness. The text makes a really poignant observation that some people become so deeply used to unhappiness, so identified with their suffering, that they genuinely don't feel comfortable when they do experience happiness.
That's fascinating, like the woman who enjoyed her rheumatism.
Exactly. It's an intriguing anecdote. She seemed to enjoy her rheumatism because it got her attention, let her talk about her anxieties, gave her something to cling to. The source implies you have to sincerely, wholeheartedly want to break these self-limiting patterns if you really want to embrace a joyful life.
Happiness is also powerfully described as the natural result of a quiet mind, a mind free from internal conflict and resentment. The story of the San Francisco business executive is a vivid illustration.
What happened with him?
This guy was deeply unhappy because of persistent resentment he held towards his colleagues, and apparently his business was suffering as a direct result of his inner turmoil.
Okay.
Inspired by these principles, he started his day affirming peace, cooperation, goodwill for everyone in his company. Whenever a negative thought or resentment popped up, he'd immediately consciously counteract it, saying to himself, peace, harmony, and poise govern my mind at all times. I radiate love and goodwill to all.
And the outcome?
After just 2 weeks of this consistent mental practice, he gets called into the office, praised for his new constructive ideas, his improved attitude, and boom, promoted. He found genuine happiness and success by cultivating it inside himself first, transforming his inner world.
Okay, so moving from cultivating inner happiness, let's look at how these principles apply to building harmonious human relations. The master key here, as the source calls it, is like a psychological take on the golden rule. And with what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you again.
So it's not about external karma in a simple way.
Not exactly. It's presented as a profound internal truth. What you consistently think and feel about others, especially your inner mental speech about them, you inevitably bring about in your own experience and relationships. Your inner state creates your outer reflection.
There's a really powerful example of this with the salesman, right? His inner speech about his sales manager was constantly filled with resentment, criticism, mentally tearing him down.
Even though he didn't say it out loud?
Exactly. This silent, destructive mental activity, though unexpressed verbally, subtly seeped into his own subconscious. And as a direct consequence, his sales manager, maybe unconsciously reacting to this vibe, consistently gave him negative feedback, seemed unreceptive, and basically blocked his promotion.
So what did this salesman do?
Frustrated and stuck, he decided to apply these principles. He consciously changed his inner narrative, started practicing well-wishing for his manager, sincerely affirming, I wish health, success, peace of mind, and happiness for my boss and for everyone here. Then he took it a step further with mental imagery. Before sleep, he vividly pictured his manager congratulating him on getting promoted. And within a short time, not only did he get the promotion, but he eventually became a division sales manager, a real testament to transforming his inner speech.
This powerfully shows that others can't really annoy or upset you unless you allow them to, through your own thought and reaction.
That's a big one, emotional maturity.
Right. Becoming emotionally mature, as the text emphasizes, means realizing that the initial thought, the emotion that follows your personal reaction and your ultimate action, it all fundamentally happens within your own mind. It's your internal processing that dictates your experience.
Like the actor who hated audiences.
Exactly. He initially hated audiences for perceived negativity or booing. When he learned to internalize a new mental attitude, to silently send love vibrations and good wishes to his audience before going on stage, his whole experience transformed. He became a great celebrated actor.
And the secretary who hated women.
Same principle. Her internal hatred showed up in her interactions. When she started affirming love, peace, tolerance, kindliness for them all, her relationships completely changed. She realized there is no one to change but myself. The change had to start inside her.
This even applies to how we react to things like scary newspaper headlines. The source mentions a man who got physically ill, developed ulcers, just from consistently reacting negatively and with intense fear to alarming news.
So what did he do?
Once he understood the laws of his own mind, he learned he could disagree without being disagreeable. He could process information without letting it emotionally consume him or generate fear. By changing his internal reaction, his ulcers miraculously cleared up.
Wow.
It's all about that imaginative projection of your mental attitude into another's experience, empathy, basically. Putting yourself in their shoes with a positive, understanding mindset, which then shifts your own internal state.
And for our most intimate relationships, like with spouses, the source gives remarkably direct, almost liberating advice. Never, ever try to make your spouse over or force them into your ideal mold.
That just creates resistance, right?
Exactly. Conflict. Instead, assume the harmonious state, both internally and in how you interact. The recommendation is to pray together, maybe, but more importantly, to mentally picture your spouse as they ideally ought to be joyful, happy, healthy, loving, harmonious.
Hold that positive image.
Consistently hold that mental picture, affirming their highest good. And the source suggests you'll experience nothing less than a marriage made in heaven, because you're aligning with the divine perfection within them.
Okay, now let's shift gears to unlocking financial abundance. This is an area where many people feel really stuck or limited.
Definitely.
The core belief outlined by the source is that if you're facing persistent money troubles or a sense of lack, it just means you haven't yet fully convinced your subconscious mind that you'll always have plenty and some to spare. The subconscious is simply reflecting your dominant inner programming about wealth.
And the interesting thing about this blueprint for wealth is you don't necessarily have to slave hard or do work you hate.
No, the effortless way is described as the most effective path. Do the thing you love to do, and do it for the pure joy and thrill of it. Financial abundance then tends to flow naturally from that alignment.
So why do affirmations for wealth sometimes fail? People try them, but nothing happens.
The source explains it's often because people neutralize their good, positive affirmations with fear thoughts almost immediately after saying them.
Like canceling them out.
Exactly. It's like carefully planting a precious seed in good soil and then moments later digging it up out of doubt or anxiety. The fundamental key is, once you plant a positive seed in your subconscious, you have to trust it. Don't dig it up with doubt.
The really profound statement here is, the feeling of wealth produces wealth. What does that mean exactly?
It means your conscious mind, which starts the thought of wealth, and your subconscious mind, which actually manifests it, they have to be in perfect agreement. The dominant idea held in your mind must be wealth, not poverty or lack.
So the feeling is crucial.
The feeling, the conviction behind the words is paramount. The source offers simple, practical affirmations that, when used consistently, start to reprogram the subconscious. Things like, by day and by night, I am being prospered in all of my interests. Or, if you're in sales, my sales are improving every day. I am advancing, progressing, getting wealthier every day.
The text also warns against writing blank checks with negative statements like, there's not enough to go around, or I can't afford that.
Yeah, those are damaging. The source warns they don't just reflect lack, they actively magnify and multiply your loss because they impress scarcity onto your subconscious.
So
Instead, you have to deliberately, consistently deposit thoughts of prosperity, wealth, success into your subconscious bank, basically. And it will respond by giving you compound interest, attracting more of what you focus on. Your true source of wealth, the author reveals, isn't just external money. It's the creative ideas within your mind, which your subconscious will bring forth for you when asked.
Okay, what about obstacles? Like resenting others who are wealthy?
That's a big one, often overlooked. If you silently think, oh, he's a crook, or he must have gotten his money dishonestly about someone wealthy, you are essentially praying two ways.
How so?
You're trying to affirm wealth for yourself while simultaneously resenting it in someone else. That internal contradiction creates a blockage, hindering your own flow of abundance. The advice is clear. Always make it a special point to rejoice in the wealth of the other person. Bless them, bless their prosperity, and that positive energy comes back to you.
And protecting investments.
For protecting investments, the source suggests quietly affirming. Infinite intelligence governs and watches over all my financial transactions, ensuring wisdom and right action, trusting that inner guidance.
And this framework for abundance is definitely not a get-rich-quick or something-for-nothing kind of deal, is it?
Absolutely not. The source gives a powerful warning. Stealing from others, whether literally or metaphorically through deceit, dishonesty, taking unfair advantage, ultimately means you're stealing from yourself.
Stealing from yourself? How?
You rob yourself of inner peace, harmony, faith, integrity, and that negative internal state inevitably attracts loss and limitation into your own life. It shows a fundamental lack of faith in the infinite source of supply.
So true success isn't just about the money.
Not at all. True success is intrinsically linked to peace of mind. The example of the pickpocket is really poignant. He amassed a fortune illegally, but lived in constant dread, plagued by guilt, inner turmoil.
Miserable.
Completely miserable, until he finally surrendered, confessed, and found genuine happiness and freedom only through honest work. His story is a powerful reminder that inner peace is the ultimate currency.
Okay, lastly in this section, let's touch on attracting ideal circumstances, whether it's a partner, property, or business success.
Right. For attracting an ideal companion, the technique involves deeply impressing your subconscious with the precise qualities you desire. Honest, sincere, loyal, peaceful, happy, prosperous, compatible. Really get specific.
And the example of the woman attracting the wrong type of man.
Yes, the feminine woman who kept attracting submissive men despite consciously wanting a strong partner. The source explains this was likely due to her own unconscious dominant personality pattern projecting that outcome. She had to consciously work to break that pattern, impressing her subconscious with the desire to follow where a strong masculine man leads, basically recalibrating her internal magnet. The irresistible law of attraction, when properly understood and applied through the subconscious, will inevitably bring you together with your ideal match.
And for tangible goals, like selling property.
The mental movie method is highlighted as really effective. Before sleep, vividly picture the successful outcome. See the check for your property in your hand, feel its texture, rejoice, give thanks, feel the emotional reality of the sale being complete.
Like the author's own experience selling his home.
Exactly. He needed to sell his home, and each night before sleep, he vividly imagined taking down the for sale sign, feeling the relief and gratitude. The very next day, he got a deposit. It's a direct manifestation of that principle. As within, so without. Your external world mirrors your internal state.
And for business success.
The source points to a businessman who envisioned his dream pharmacy in meticulous detail, impressing that blueprint on his subconscious, and ultimately manifested it into a thriving reality. And extending this to creative problem solving, Goethe's method of imaginary conversations is mentioned.
How would that work?
He'd imagine a trusted friend sitting in a chair, then have a vivid, detailed conversation with them in his mind, with the imagined friend giving him the exact answers and insights he needed for his current problems. He made the scene as real as possible. It's a profound way to consciously engage the subconscious for guidance and innovation, trusting the answers are already inside you.
So this incredible inner guide, your subconscious mind, it isn't just for attracting things or healing, it's also presented as your ultimate problem solver, a boundless source of intuition.
Absolutely. The general principle is remarkably simple, yet profoundly effective. Charge your subconscious mind with the task of finding an answer to any problem you're facing, especially just before you go to sleep, and it will, apparently without fail, deliver that answer.
This sounds like how many scientific breakthroughs have happened, right? Those flashes of genius people talk about.
Precisely, which the source attributes directly to the subconscious at work. Think about Nikola Tesla, the brilliant inventor. He famously said he'd build his inventions entirely in his imagination first, visualizing every single component, every connection. He knew with certainty that his subconscious would reveal all the necessary parts and how they worked together for the actual construction. He apparently spent almost no time correcting defects on paper because he'd already perfected it internally.
Wow. His mind's laboratory. And what about the discovery of insulin?
Another groundbreaking example. Dr. Frederick Banting, the co-discoverer, he'd been consciously wrestling with the puzzle of diabetes for ages, struggling for a breakthrough.
Yeah.
One exhausting night, he falls asleep, completely consumed by the problem. And it was in that state, in a dream, that his subconscious gave him the precise, crucial instruction to extract the residue from the degenerated pancreatic ducts of dogs.
That's specific.
That's specific. That single intuitive insight delivered via his subconscious was the pivotal breakthrough that led to discovering insulin and completely changed diabetes treatment forever.
These powerful examples really lead us to the profound wisdom of sleep itself. The source mentions Dr. John Bigelow, a research authority on sleep.
Yes, his studies showed that even while our conscious mind rests, the nerves in our eyes, ears, brain remain remarkably active. He proposed that a primary, maybe noble reason we sleep is that the nobler part of the soul is united by abstraction to our higher nature and becomes a participant in the wisdom and foreknowledge of the gods.
So sleep isn't just physical rest.
Not just physical rest, it's a vital period of communion with deeper wisdom. Sleep isn't passive, it's dynamic. Your subconscious is actively working, often providing unexpected answers, creative solutions, even profound foresight.
And prayer is seen similarly, like a form of sleep.
In a way, yes. A deliberate withdrawal from the daily chaos and sensory overload of the objective world to commune with that deeper inner wisdom inside you.
The author shares a really chilling, personal story about a precognitive dream, doesn't he? Something that saved him.
Yes, it's quite dramatic. Years before World War II, he was offered a really lucrative academic job in the Orient. He prayed for guidance, clarity on whether to take it.
Yeah.
In a vivid dream, an old friend appeared, showed him newspaper headlines that explicitly detailed the coming war, and, astonishingly, the attack on Pearl Harbor 3 full years before it actually happened.
3 years.
3 years. Upon waking, he immediately canceled the trip, feeling this profound, undeniable subconscious pull guiding him away from danger. This personal story is echoed by research, like Dr. Ryan's work at Duke University, documenting numerous cases where people seem to perceive future events.
And these insights from sleep or relaxation can be incredibly practical, too, even financially significant.
Definitely. Consider Hammerstrom, the engineer, totally stuck trying to fix a faulty switch in a mill. He'd tried everything logically.
Okay.
Takes a short nap one afternoon, dreams vividly of a perfect, innovative design for the switch. Wakes up, sketches it immediately. That dream design not only solved the problem, but won him $15,000.
Amazing.
Another one, Dr. Helprecht, an Assyrian professor struggling for months to decipher ancient text fragments. Dreams a priest appears, guides him to the right interpretation, wakes up, solves the puzzle. Even literary giants like Robert Louis Stevenson apparently made it a habit to consciously instruct his subconscious to cook up compelling stories for him while he slept, especially when he needed money. It shows the directed power of this inner wisdom.
Okay, let's tackle what the source calls man's greatest enemy, fear.
Fear, yes.
Fear is described so profoundly, not as an external threat, but as a negative thought in your mind, like an insidious conglomeration of sinister shadows that ultimately has no inherent reality itself.
And it's identified as the root cause behind so much human suffering: chronic failure, persistent sickness, poor relationship.
That's like that analogy of the child's fear of the boogeyman under the bed. For the child, that fear is intensely real, paralyzing even.
It's terrifying, yeah.
Yet the boogeyman itself doesn't objectively exist. The text argues that most of our fears are exactly like this. They're creations of our own minds. We're often most afraid of our own distorted thoughts.
And here's the crucial dynamic. Your subconscious mind, being impersonal, non-selective, takes your fears, your intense, emotionally charged negative thoughts as direct requests. And then it fatefully proceeds to manifest those fears into your objective reality. It's glaringly obvious in cases of stage fright, like the singer whose fear of failure caused her to mess up. She overcame it by consistently, confidently affirming composure and poise to her subconscious before performing.
And students forgetting answers in exams.
Right, suggestive amnesia, often linked to an obsession with the idea of failing. They overcame it by vividly imagining success, like the student picturing his mother congratulating him. The subconscious, after all, is the storehouse of memory. It responds to positive, confident instructions.
Even deep-seated phobias can be tackled this way.
Yes. The author shares his own intense experience of nearly drowning as a child, leaving him terrified of water.
How did he beat it?
Following advice, he deliberately confronted his fear, went to the pool, looked right at the water, and declared out loud with total resolve, I am going to master you. I can dominate you. You will no longer control me. Then immediately signed up for swimming lessons. By adopting that new authoritative mental attitude, his subconscious, in response, supplied the strength, courage, confidence needed to completely overcome his profound fear. The technique involves vividly imagining the desired action, swimming, climbing, public speaking, and truly feeling the reality and triumph of that imagined outcome.
Then there's the more extreme form, abnormal fear, where the imagination just runs riot, spinning out of control into destructive scenarios.
Like the woman invited on a world trip by plane who got so consumed by fear she started cutting out newspaper reports of crashes, morbidly picturing herself dying.
Exactly. Or the businessman who constantly ran a mental movie of his own bankruptcy until he sank into deep depression. Such morbid, persistent imagery, if allowed to dominate, the source warns, will inevitably attract precisely what is feared.
So what's the answer to that kind of abnormal fear?
The powerful, liberating answer is to move mentally to the opposite. When a fear thought comes up, immediately, consciously, deliberately focus your attention on the desired outcome, the exact opposite of what you fear.
Get totally absorbed in the desire.
Exactly. Get absorbed in your desire, knowing with conviction that your subconscious cannot fail to manifest it. This deliberate shift gives you confidence and lifts your spirits right away. The key is to examine your fears, stare them right in the face. Like the salesman who feared calling new clients when he confronted it, the fear shrank.
So the path to freedom from fear is clear. Do the thing you are afraid to do, and the death of fear is certain.
Powerful.
Consciously, consistently replace negative thoughts with constructive ones. The source states powerfully, fear has killed millions, but confidence is greater than fear. We're urged to internalize that love casts out fear, meaning a deep, unwavering emotional attachment to good things, success, health, guidance, eternal life. Focus on those, and fear loses its power.
Finally, let's touch on redefining age. The text offers a really refreshing, empowering perspective. It encourages us to accept what we call old age gracefully, but with a totally new understanding.
Right. Age has its own glory, beauty, and wisdom. Qualities like peace, love, joy, wisdom. They don't decay, they never grow old or die. They're eternal aspects of you.
The idea that you are as young as you think you are is central here. The source is quite critical of societal norms, like employers discriminating against people over 40, calling it cold, callous, evil for discarding valuable potential.
Yeah, it argues age, especially the wisdom from gray hair and experience, should be seen as a huge asset. Greater wisdom, skill, understanding. A person of 65 might be far more mentally agile and productive than many at 30. It really debunks those ageist stereotypes.
The text passionately argues for people to remain producers and not prisoners of society. Forced retirement at some arbitrary age gets sharply criticized.
Why? Because while the physical body might naturally slow down gradually, the conscious mind can actually become more active, alert, alive, quickened by inspiration from the subconscious. Your mind essentially never grows old, it just keeps evolving.
Think of those incredible historical examples cited, just challenging every notion of decline in later years.
Like Herbert Hoover, still incredibly active at 88. Socrates, learning music at 80. Michelangelo painting masterpieces in his 80s. Goethe finishing Faust at 80. Newton working at 85. John Wesley directing Methodism at 88.
Amazing figures, powerful testaments that the mind truly doesn't grow old. It can keep flourishing.
So the call to action here is to get a vision for your later years. Instead of internalizing, I am old, consciously affirm, I am wise in the way of the divine life. My mind is vibrant, my spirit eternal.
Reject the negative propaganda.
Exactly. Reject the pervasive ideas of decrepitude, uselessness, decline that society often projects onto aging. Instead, consciously affirm life, not death. Envision yourself clearly as happy, radiant, successful, serene, and powerful at every stage. That internal blueprint shapes your external experience of aging.
In fact, the joys of old age are even described as potentially greater than those of youth.
So.
Because as nature gradually slows the body's frantic pace, it allows for deeper meditation, reflection, internal growth. The text warns that the fear of old age is what actually brings on deterioration. You grow old when you cease to dream, and when you lose interest in life.
To retirement.
Retirement isn't an end. It should be embraced as a new venture. A precious chance to pursue new studies, interests, all the things you always wanted to do but were too busy making a living. It's a new chapter of infinite possibility. Okay, to kind of bring all these powerful concepts together, let's dive into one of the most transformative, truly liberating powers we have. the power of forgiveness.
Ah, forgiveness, so important.
Our source states this profound truth. God or life is no respecter of persons, meaning the universal life principle flows impartially, endlessly as harmony, peace, beauty, joy, abundance to everyone without judgment.
So the problem isn't life withholding anything.
No. The problem arises when we, through our own internal states, resist this natural benevolent flow. Setting up mental resistance, harboring resentment, anger, unforgiveness creates this profound emotional congestion inside us.
And that leads directly to negative conditions, both mental and physical.
That's what the source claims. It makes it strikingly clear, stating that God, or life, never sends disease, sickness, accident, or suffering. We bring these things on ourselves by our own negative, destructive thinking. It really shifts the responsibility from blaming external forces to looking at internal causes.
That's a truly powerful idea. The illusion of punishment, the source explains. The only sin is ignorance of the law, and the only punishment is the automatic reaction of man's misuse of the law.
Like the electricity analogy.
Exactly. Electricity isn't good or evil, but misuse it, ignore the law, and it can cause harm, burn down a house. The man described in the text, remember him, working himself to the bone, living in misery due to this deep guilt complex from cheating his brother years ago.
He wasn't being punished by God.
No, he was relentlessly punishing himself. His suffering was the direct, automatic reaction of his own subconscious mind to his ingrained, negative, guilt-ridden thinking pattern.
So the core of true forgiveness, then, is ultimately about freedom for yourself. It's a profound act of self-liberation.
The text assures us. You cannot truly be hurt when you know, with deep conviction, that you are master of your own thoughts, your own reactions, and your own emotions.
Like the woman left at the altar.
Beautiful example of emotional health. Despite the public humiliation, the personal pain, she held no bitterness, no resentment. Her unwavering faith in right action meant that if the marriage didn't happen, it simply wasn't the right action or highest good for them both. Her lack of personal injury came from her inner peace and understanding.
This really highlights the importance of breaking free from mental brainwashing or negative conditioning we might have picked up.
Yes, the source tells the story of a young girl heavily influenced by her ignorant, superstitious, bigoted, and frustrated mother, absorbing many limiting beliefs.
But she broke free.
She courageously broke free by consciously understanding how her own mind worked. She diligently changed her inner beliefs, her self-talk, her perception. And as a result, it led her to a wonderfully fulfilling life, even finding an ideal partner who reflected her new inner state. The profound takeaway is, when man understands the creative law of his own mind, he ceases to blame other people and external conditions. You recognize your own creative power.
And the acid test of forgiveness. It isn't just saying the words, I forgive you, is it?
Not at all. It's about a profound inner shift. It's truly wishing love, peace, joy, wisdom, and all the blessings of life to the other person, sincerely, deeply, until you reach a point where there is absolutely no sting left in your mind when you think of them.
Like the healed abscess analogy. Is it still painful when pressed?
Exactly. If you still sizzle with resentment, anger, or hurt when the person who offended you comes to mind, it means the insidious roots of hatred are still there, deep inside, silently wrecking your own inner peace and well-being. The only true way to get rid of them, the source insists, is to wither them with love, to actively pour out positive intention towards them.
This is critical because resentment, deep-seated hatred, ill will, hostility, they're explicitly identified as being behind a host of maladies, from ulcers to heart issues, anxiety to chronic unhappiness.
So the path to genuine health, inner freedom, emotional liberation is clear. Forgive yourself and forgive others, not as a moral duty, but as an act of profound self-love. You do it by actively pouring out love, peace, goodwill. It's about becoming emotionally mature enough to disagree without being disagreeable, and truly internalizing that what others say or do can only affect you if you permit it through your own internal reaction.
Ultimately, the source just consistently emphasizes this liberating truth. God, or life, never punishes. Man punishes himself by his false concepts of God, life, and the universe. His thoughts are creative, and he creates his own misery or his own joy.
And that profoundly brings us right back full circle to the limitless power, the responsibility, and the freedom inherent in your own mind.
So as we wrap up this truly expansive deep dive, we really hope you now have a clearer, maybe more profound understanding of the immense miracle-working power that's just residing within your subconscious mind.
It's quite something, isn't it?
It really is a force of incredible magnitude, capable of transforming every single aspect of your existence, from your physical health and vibrant well-being to the harmony in your relationships, the flow of financial abundance in your life, and maybe most importantly, your deepest sense of inner peace.
And it's not dormant, is it? It's not waiting to be switched on.
Not at all. It is always active, always responding, always building based on the precise blueprint you're constantly providing it, whether you're doing it consciously or, well, unconsciously.
The timeless wisdom, as this text expresses it, is strikingly simple but utterly profound. Your mind is like a fertile garden. What you consciously or unconsciously choose to plant in it, whether it's seeds of fear or faith, lack or abundance, resentment or love, you will, with absolute certainty, eventually reap as your outer reality.
So as you go about your day, your week, your life, maybe reflecting on some of these insights, we challenge you directly. What blueprint are you consciously or unconsciously giving your subconscious mind today, right now?
Are you deliberately choosing the thoughts, the beliefs, the vivid images that will actually manifest your highest, most desired reality?
This boundless power within you is always waiting, always ready to be directed toward your highest good and greatest fulfillment.
It truly has ways we know not of, just awaiting your conscious command.